Hey, it's Grant. Before today's show, I just want to take a few seconds to tell you about Hangover Destroyer. Hangover Destroyer is the only all-natural product medically proven to prevent a hangover. If you're having a couple of drinks, take a shot of Hangover Destroyer and you will not wake up with a hangover. Now you have a chance to prove that it works for yourself for absolutely nothing, for free. Go to Hangover Destroyer's Facebook page, message them with the promo code I feel like shit, or just happy hour will do actually, and they'll send you out a free sample of Hangover Destroyer. Check it out on Facebook. It's Hangover Destroyer, brought to you by Happy Hour. It's Happy Hour from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. Brought to us today by Petite Pet Care. If you're going out of town, you're very lucky. Or if you have a schedule that keeps you away from home, the folks at Petite Pet Care understand that some pets are fine going to a kennel or doggy daycare, but others prefer the comfort of their own home. If that's your pet, for loving care when you're not there, give them a call. Petite Pet Care. You can find them at petitepetcare.com, shockingly. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limo or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you, because that's New Orleans, and this is Happy Hour, a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common, other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar. In this case, we're at Wayfair on Ferret Street in Uptown New Orleans, in this very hip part of Ferret Street. Wayfair is a restaurant and a bar that serves handcraft food and spirits. Chef Kevin White's put fine dining into a sandwich, and if you think that's just some sort of a bullshit slogan, let me tell you about this. Over the summer, he's making homemade natural casing hot dogs.
Nice.
He's making his own hot dogs, including the Cubano dog, which is a Cuban sandwich-style hot dog with roasted pork, salami, ham, jalapeno, and dill pickles.
Oh, beautiful.
Check out the Croque Madame dog, which is a hot dog wrapped in ham with Mornay sauce, melted Gruyere cheese, and the whole thing's on a pretzel dog bun. There's also the walking taco dog on the muffalata dog. What do you think of that?
That's great. And I think he was talking about fielding a baseball game while you could eat one of these hot dogs. They just have a baseball game inside. Is that right?
Inside.
Yeah.
If you could make it through the whole game and eat 10 hot dogs,
yeah,
you get a free trip to Cuba.
By the 7th inning stretch, yes.
Something like that. I think you're right. Mm-hmm. I think they are doing that. They also have a 3-hour happy hour down here every day at Wayfair. The bartenders make a bunch of awesome drinks. The happy hour is from 4 to 7, all at Wayfair on Ferret Street. Welcome to Happy Hour. My special guest sitting around the table here today are these people. Eve Troe. Hello, Eve.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm very happy to be here this
Me too. It's so great to see you.
Yeah.
Gregory Alexander is here as well.
I'm here.
Hello, Gregory, and
present
that's more the
present.
I'm used to.
Yes, present. And Andrew Duhon is here. Andrew Duhon is both my colleague, partner, sidekick, and today music guest.
Hey, all right.
And we'll explain all that in a minute. Let me tell you something about Eve. Eve Troe is the first ever news director of 89.9 WWNO, New Orleans NPR public radio station. How about that?
True.
So far, so
How
good,
about
right?
that? So far, so good.
Haven't
Yeah, I
fucked
think
up
so.
anything. Eve stepped into this previously non-existent position on April Fool's Day, 2013, marking her return to New Orleans after several years away in Los Angeles.
It's great to be back, let me tell
Nice.
you.
I bet it is. In Los Angeles, Eve, it says you worked as a producer and reporter for NPR and for Marketplace.
Where did you learn all these amazing facts?
Somebody gave me a piece of
Someone
paper.
provide them for you?
Marketplace is allegedly the nation's top radio business show.
That's what I hear.
I guess that's true, right? There's no other one. Is there a nationwide business show? Is there another one?
It sounds a little propaganda-ish, don't you think? But I do think
If
it's
it's
probably
true.
Yeah,
Oh, I
sometimes
think it's true.
propaganda is true.
Well, it's not propaganda if it's true, is it? Or is it?
I don't know.
Then it's a fact.
Does
Propaganda
anyone
is something...
have a dictionary handy?
Yes, well, Greg is like a
Definition of
ex-school
propaganda?
teacher, aren't you?
I'm not sure. I think it could still be true. There's true propaganda and false propaganda.
Well, why would it be propaganda if it's true? Then it's the news, isn't
it's
it?
just trying to get somebody to believe something.
It's
it could be true.
persuasive language. All writing is persuasive, is
Like rhetoric.
something I heard once.
Yeah,
Who
that's
said that? Shakespeare?
Maybe.
But it's not propaganda if it's true, surely. Then it's the news, isn't it?
guess.
Eve, come on,
The
you're
news
a
and
news
propaganda
director.
are definitely quite different things.
That's what I would
hope.
think, but you were
I
just
would
saying
hope.
they're not. Right? Didn't you
Well,
say it could be the...
facts are a tricky, slippery thing to get your hands and your head around.
Really? As a news director, is that true, or are you just saying that because you've had a couple of these dark and stormy...
I would say that's an impression. I would say that's a subjective piece of language that I'm putting out there, that
Right.
facts are a difficult thing. I mean, when you can avoid putting a fact in a story, all the better. if you know someone had a pink shirt on, that's great. If you can't really remember if the shirt is pink, why risk putting it in there? Just to have someone write you a letter
Right.
a week later saying that shirt was blue
And
or
is-
red.
Does
Even
anybody?
if you're
yeah, correct.
just reporting facts, so you choose which facts to report, and therefore it could be propaganda because you're trying to get people to believe what you believe.
Right.
So NPR might broadcast stuff that's
I believe in
different
nothing.
from.
Yeah. So do you believe anything you ever hear or read, or it's just someone wrote it down, therefore it's their impression?
Do I believe
Yeah,
everything?
I'm talking
No.
to you.
Oh,
Yes,
certainly
correct.
not. No.
Look at me.
No.
No, you don't. You don't believe anything you read.
I don't believe it just because I read it. Let's put it that way.
How can you tell if you hear something on the news and it's true?
How can you tell if it's true?
If you turn on WWNO and you hear the news that Eve produced, how would you know it's
I
true?
think we tend to just listen to what we want to hear. So if people want to hear conservative stuff, they listen to Fox.
That's-
If people want to hear liberal stuff, they listen to NBC. And
NBC
whatever's gonna-
already. I disagree with all of this.
MSNBC. maybe.
What do you disagree with about that?
Well, I think something interesting in being somebody who produces news is you really don't know how people are going to receive any story. I've had the experience of doing stories where I put in a quote that someone said, and I thought, oh, I bet they're going to be sorry that they said that. They're not going to like that. And the way it's received, even though they really did say it, I wondered, is it fair? Is it a little too strong? Is the way I'm nervous about how it's going to be perceived by the audience. And they love it because, yes, that is how they feel. That is what they said.
So you're trying to be nice to someone, thinking this guy surely doesn't mean that about Arabs, Jews,
I won't say I'll leave it
black
out,
people.
but I'll feel bad about it, which is the way of a Catholic girl from small town Missouri to be.
You're Catholic. So is Greg's a super Catholic.
Well,
We do have something in common. You said
I
we had
knew
nothing
this
in
was gonna-
common but being New Orleanians.
In the
And here we
bar.
are.
Excommunicated Catholics still count?
Have you been
Excommunicated.
officially excommunicated?
Wait till
Not
you-
officially, but as soon as they read the book, they'll probably have.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're a recovering Catholic then.
Recovering is a good definition. Are you hoping to be excommunicated? Are you going to send them a copy and say,
Bad publicity is still
what do you guys
publicity.
think?
So, I don't know.
Should I be excommunicated? Do you get papers for that?
I don't know if it's in writing that you're excommunicated.
What
but
kind of suitable for framing?
what kind of a religion kicks you out?
Catholics.
They do.
Yeah, that's correct.
You can get kicked out of a
Sure.
fucking religion.
Oh, yeah, man.
If you
That's
get
not
the
a religion.
The Amish will kick you
Oh,
out.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
You can get kicked. That's not a religion that you can get kicked out of. Surely, is it?
The Amish?
I mean, that's not a religion. That's an organization.
You-
Okay.
I mean, a religion is
Yeah,
something
okay.
that's sort of supposed to have some sort of spiritual base, and if you believe it, surely you'd be allowed to stay.
Well, the line between culture
No.
and religion is
That's the
also a
Catholics aren't
slippery
like that.
one, like facts.
Believing stuff is only half of being a Catholic.
Well, that's a good question. Is any of that true?
What?
Was there really like a resurrection?
Oh, you're asking. I'm not a theologian.
So what?
So-
Are you a propagandist?
I have an interesting memory from Catholic
Ah,
school here.
okay.
Where's
My religion teacher in high school said, how many of you would still be Christian or Catholic if you found out definitively that the resurrection was not true?
Nice.
And everybody in class raised their hand like, I'm a good Catholic. I'm such a good
I'm
Catholic.
still in.
I'm still in. And the teacher basically said, wrong. This is the central fact of our belief
Of course,
system.
yeah.
Wow.
And if the resurrection didn't happen, then all of this is,
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
BS. Yeah,
Wow.
that's what I was going to say, bullshit.
So
But we all we got it wrong
Yeah.
in class.
That's right.
We thought the right answer was like, I'm Catholic no matter what.
right, I'm
But
in.
that was not the
I
right
didn't get the
answer.
bit about in the Da Vinci Code where the whole thing, as if the whole Catholic Church would fall on its face if it turned out Christ had a child. Why is that? What difference would it
I
make?
don't know. It's a good
And
question.
wasn't that what the whole book, what the whole movie was about?
They were
Right.
doing
I'm
Because
thinking, what the hell difference?
Somebody is still related to Jesus Christ on earth, that would mean, right? That was the
If-
whole thing, that
if
this girl in
they
that movie
continued
was
to-
the current,
does
was
it? Right? Yeah,
Like-
she was
Right,
the
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 descendant.
great granddaughter of Jesus.
But so what? Why would
Well,
that? Why would the
exactly.
Catholic Church fall apart if that's true?
Did you read that book as a novelist? That was
I
a
did
piece
not
of
read
crap.
the book.
That
I
was
just
a
watched the
terrible
movie.
book.
Yeah.
Well, the movie was almost unwatchable, wasn't it? I mean, it went on and on and on and
Yeah.
on, but it was hugely
But clearly
popular.
none of us know anything about what people like because it's far more successful than anything that any of us have ever produced. So
for
Well, I
sure.
think that's one of the greatest selling books of all time, probably,
Yeah.
that
It is.
garbage.
sadly. I
What
think
made it
that's
so
true.
great? Was something to do with Jesus.
Just the controversy, I guess.
If you can, well, you've come up with a book about. I mean, let me finish these introductions
Oh.
so I can tell you more.
Good Lord.
We
Okay,
haven't
here's
done that
one
yet.
more sentence to read about Eve.
Oh,
Eve
no.
loves stories that take her behind the scenes. If there's a boat or a hard hat involved, all the better. Okay, and now here we go with an actual plug from the public radio person. Eve's favourite snowball is Hanson's lemonade with strawberry. Are Hanson's paying you for that? Because
No,
We
but
need
if
to get
there
a
were
cut of
any
it.
way to get free Hanson Snowbliz for the rest of my life, I would probably compromise my journalistic scruples to achieve
Okay.
that goal.
Well, probably, I don't know how many people listen to the show, but at least 3.
I believe
So
that was a
is that
misquote.
enough to
That's,
get-
that's Hanson's Lemonade and Strawberry, not Hanson's Strawberry and Lemonade. There may
Right.
be.
There's a distinction.
Is there where they got that
Andrew's
wrong?
correct.
Really? Is that right?
I don't know.
How did you know that?
I just.
You know something about
I can
snowballs?
read. I
It's
don't
a
know.
snowball. Is it? Where do you
Snow
get these?
Blizz.
Snow
On
Blizz.
Chapatulas Street.
Oh, come on. You don't know where Hanson's... It's like it's got won a James Beard Award even.
I'm from River Ridge. We know,
I'm
we
from
don't
River
know-
Ridge. How far away is River Ridge?
River Ridge is about 10 or 12 miles from here. But people
And
never
there's
get
a grocery
out.
store. There's everything you need in River Ridge. So why would you ever?
You never have to
That's
leave
like
River Ridge.
that's like Harahan.
There's
Isn't
no
there
re-
like
Harahan
Home
is the
Depot?
closest metropolis that you would recognize to River Ridge.
So how do you get to River Ridge? You go along Jefferson Highway.
You can't get there from here.
You can't. Let me tell
Jefferson
you something
Highway.
about Gregory Alexander from River Ridge. Gregory is the author of the widely acclaimed novel The Holy Mark, the story of a priest caught between the cynicism of his own southern upbringing
Ooh.
and the political machinations of the Roman Catholic Church.
Speaking of
Okay.
that.
Okay, now you see where now
They have
everyone's looking a
those?
little scared.
okay.
Prior to writing his debut novel, which reviewers have called shocking, remarkable, and a well-wrought world of deviance, Greg taught at Cabrini and Jesuit high schools. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Wow, you're going straight to hell.
This is getting juicy.
That's
wow,
what I
what about
said.
that? So you were a teacher at a Catholic school, and then you
Two
turned around,
Catholic
you turned around and
schools.
ratted them all out
Yeah.
by writing an inside story about a
Tell
naughty
all.
priest.
A naughty priest.
Wow.
Wow.
Any of
And-
your former students contacted you?
Yes, they have. They like it, though. It's amazing that Catholics seem to like it more than anybody else. Maybe
Why?
because it tells the truth, I guess.
What is? Well, shall I finish reading it?
Oh, please. Sorry.
Well, I don't know if I should really. Well, I'll just finish this, then we'll go back to it. Greg taught at Cabrini Jesuit High School. He's currently a training specialist in Jefferson Parish government. You work in the government.
I quit
Jefferson
teaching to take a job for a burnt-out teacher, which was a good thing, a good move in 1999, yes. So I
And-
still teach, but not.
And now
Kids.
what do you do now? You're a human
I work
resources
for
person?
Jefferson Parish Government Human Resources, yes.
Okay, and listen to this sentence if you want to get a real fright. Rarely venturing into the city from his comfort zone in River Ridge, as we've already established, Greg loves tennis. This is like Casey Kasem. And spinning oldies on turntables, plural, in his den.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta have two.
You still have a den,
I have a den.
and you have two
And it's-
turntables like a radio
And it's
station.
paneled, so it's a real den.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Nice.
And you've
Nice.
got two turntables like a guy on a radio
You
station.
better believe it. You can't. You
I do
can't
believe
have
it.
just one.
Wait, do you not have like a console turntable with kind of the tweed speakers in the
I have
cabinet
two
thing, or
no,
you,
I don't
you got
have that.
you
I have
got
two
new stuff?
separate, distinct turntables.
So you're like DJ turntable
I have-
kind of.
Yeah, except you
Okay.
can't go.
No, you know,
that
yeah.
ruins the records.
Of course, yeah, you don't want to.
You can't really do that.
It doesn't ruin the records if you have the right needle. That's like how they do in radio stations.
They have special kind of records they do that with, but I've tried it and it ruins my
They have
records.
special
so
kind of records?
Yeah, actually, my
That
folks
you
don't
do
know
that
it, but I
with.
tried it too, and I put that record right back. And
I've ruined records trying to do
Is it
that.
Herb
It doesn't
Alpert,
work.
Perry Como?
So,
what was it?
okay, hang on a minute. So, the records that they have on a radio station that you can spin backwards and sync up.
It's a heavier vinyl.
It's
DJs
different
at
stuff.
at a clubs do that. I don't think radio stations do it.
Well, they
It's
used
a-
to do
it's
it
a-
back in the day.
Thicker, heavier, but scratching?
170 grams, I believe, is what
Thank
they use.
you.
For
I
the
was
vinyl.
looking for it. I was going to say 180 something, but I don't honestly remember. See?
So you know that because you're making records.
Yeah, because I'm going to press some records.
you do
press.
press records?
Just my own music. I don't have experience other than that.
Because
But you
I still buy vinyl when I can get it.
Same, yeah.
The
Same.
Daft Punk 12-inch on whatever the big hit was. I forget. I can't think
Get
what it
Lucky?
was.
Get Lucky,
Get
probably,
Lucky
yeah.
is super thick vinyl. This
Right.
thing weighs like 5 pounds,
Right.
and it even advertises how many grams of
Right,
vinyl
this
this
is
thing
what-
is.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't know it, but it's extremely. Does it mean can I go with that?
You could try it.
You have to
Maybe
just
get
pay
two
for it.
copies.
If it doesn't work, will you pay for it?
Nope.
But you need the right needle is the key.
Yeah, I don't have the right
If
needle.
you have the wrong needle, then you're going to ruin the needle. That's
Here's
the
my
problem.
question about the den. Is it sunken a little bit?
It is. How'd you know?
That's
Nice.
the best.
It's a split level. It's a tri-level house. So you walk up into the living room, then you walk down into the den. Oh, I'm sorry. You walk down into the den. So
yeah,
you
that's
know,
what a den should
Is
be.
there kind of an amber light fixture involved?
I have beer lights all over the place
That works.
and
That's
disco
fine.
strobe lights. Not to give away how long I've been around, but yes,
Next show, tape it there.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, awesome. I
We
did.
could do that.
I just
Got a-
have one scary
and a
question.
pool table.
Are you single?
I am single.
You
Is
live
the-
there
Unless
by
you count
yourself.
dogs.
No, I'm not counting dogs. That's another question altogether. Though.
Is the whiskey in your own crystal glass?
Have you
that
been
got
to
from
my
your
den?
grandpa?
Because I've got you're
Monogrammed
describing.
crystal.
It's like you're
I already know
describing my den.
Okay, so you go to work at Jefferson Parish as a human resources guy.
Training specialist,
Training
for human
specialist,
resources,
in which you're teaching people.
sexual harassment, how to do,
How to harass.
how to get away with it, basically. Yeah.
Well, should we go back a step? You wrote a novel about sexual deviance in the Catholic Church.
And I teach people how not to be deviant at work, or how to get away with being
And then
deviant.
you go home and you go into your split-level den
and spin
and you
records from the 60s
with a
and
whiskey
70s.
and think that you're pretending to be a DJ spinning. You listen to the whole song,
Of course.
and then do you say in between it, that was
I actually do
Casey
that.
and the Sunshine
no
Band.
way. Hey, that's
Sometimes I
great.
do that, yes. I really
Nice.
do that. I take myself doing it, too.
I love it. Nice.
Do you,
We could get really
Role
bizarre
playing,
with
it's
this,
like,
but I
yeah,
used to
you-
make my own record charts out in the 70s, and I would count down the top hits of the year at the end, and I would record it.
That's
So
great.
That's how weird it was.
Do you still have this stuff?
I have the charts.
Oh, you
I
don't have the recording.
I might have one or two still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, that's a
cool.
good. Could we get hold of that? Was that going to be the next question?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll look and see. Are you serious?
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to
It's
hear
an
that.
Yes.
artifact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
it's
would put
great.
71 to 78, I did that.
Love
we
it.
could have 7 years worth of the top hits
The
from
disco
71,
hits.
72 to 78. Could post that on It's New Orleans on our Happy Hour
That'd
page.
be killer,
For
yeah.
sure, I would
Yeah.
love to do that.
Yeah.
In case you're wondering who the voice of Andrew Duhon is, it's Andrew Duhon.
Yep.
That's pretty much it, right?
You're from here?
I was going to do a
I am,
whole
yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Where'd you go to
Andrew's-
school? I got
I went to
Here we
Rummel
go.
High School.
So did
actually.
I.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had my hero teachers there, and then the ones in religion who were a bit more.
Was Musselwhite still
Oh.
there when you were there?
No.
He was a legend.
Yeah. On harmonica.
Not Charlie.
Charlie Musselwhite.
Not Charlie.
My
Isaac-
religion teacher.
Isaac Musselwhite.
Isaac Musselwhite. That's a great name, too.
Wow, that is.
English.
Yeah.
Teacher.
My favorite was Mr. Rosa, who now actually teaches at
Bob
Jesuit.
Rosso.
Yeah.
After I left Jesuit, he came on. I heard they lured him away from Rommel.
I believe it. Now I live like a block away from Jesuit, so.
But from Jesuit, really?
Yep.
Yeah, Rosso graduated from Rommel a little bit before me, so I never knew him. But he was a well-known actor,
Right.
at Rommel,
A Genetian.
a Genetian. Yeah.
What is it? What's a
What's
Genetian?
that?
That's the name. It's like their thespian name for anybody who's at Rummel, and that's what their club's called, is the Genetians.
The Genetian. After.
Yeah. I wasn't a Genetian. I don't
Genetian
know.
players,
Oh.
I don't know, but
Oh.
I was a Genetian. Yeah.
Nice.
And,
You were an
know,
actor.
I wrote a play and I acted in a couple of disastrous plays.
What was the play you wrote called?
The Love Triangle. We shouldn't really talk about that.
The
It
Love
was-
Triangle. eh?
Yeah.
When you were a
It blazed
student
a
at
trail.
Rummel.
I was a senior, and they produced our play. And yeah,
The Love Triangle. Who were the three lovers?
A priest, a
Rod.
teacher.
No, there were no-
Obviously.
there were no priests in it. No, but everybody in like the girl, the Genetians were there. They're actors, and it's. The girls were there pretty much to meet boys, and the boys were there pretty much
Right.
to meet boys, and it's-
This is the secret of single gender schools, right? It's the after school activities where you get to mingle. If you do like band, theater, that type of thing,
Course.
or they don't have a
Even
critical
campus
mass.
ministry.
Yeah, campus
I'll tell you all
ministry.
about it.
Campus
What's that?
ministry. The scandalous flirtations
Oh,
of
man.
campus ministry.
Gosh.
So,
Wow.
who were the lovers in the Love Triangle?
Oh, gosh,
How
it
old
was-
were you? Like 17 when you wrote
I
that?
was
Your first
18, just turned 17, 18.
It's your
something like
first
that.
full-length dramatic piece.
It was actually a play about a transvestite. So in 1975, that was blazing the trail.
Nice.
Yeah, that was very edgy. And what was the transvestite in love with a man and a woman then?
The transvestite was nobody knew that came out in the play that she had been a he, and so it was a big scandal that she or he wanted to keep in the closet. It was
See,
a long time ago.
People in the New Orleans area just grow up faster than the rest of us. Because I don't know that I even had any concept of what a transvestite was when I was 17.
Well, you didn't have a French Quarter to wander
Didn't have a
around
French
in.
Quarter,
It's not
didn't
just
have
New
Mardi
Orleans,
Gras.
It's kind of everywhere else besides that, just central part of the country. It's like a pizza. When you
Hey.
bake it, it's just all kind of
If you're-
raw in the middle.
If you're about to talk about flyover country, I'm going to have to.
Where did
you
you,
know.
Eve, where did you grow up at, anyway?
I grew up
in
in
Los
St.
Angeles?
Genevieve, Missouri. About 9 hours drive north of here, just up the Mississippi River, about
Only 9
X
hours
hundred
to get to
miles.
Missouri?
Yeah, you should check it out. I mean, really, if you
You'd
haven't
have to be
been.
driving pretty fast. It
No, you get to Missouri,
takes me
definitely.
7 hours to get to Shreveport.
Child, you can get down the Butt
No,
Hill
it
in like
doesn't.
7 hours. You don't even need more time than that.
Good Lord.
It takes you 7 hours to drive to Shreveport, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, because there
6
aren't
hours
any
to
good
Shreveport.
roads. We're talking about I-55 major trucking
do you just
route.
skip Arkansas? You go like a
No, you gotta
wormhole
go.
to
Got
skip
some
Arkansas?
No, well, I wish there should be some kind of Arkansas bypass option, but no.
Missouri in 9 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Little
maybe you can
French
go with
colonial
Eve.
settlement.
Eve, are you single?
It depends on who you ask.
Nice.
Okay, I'm going to ask Andrew. Andrew, is Eve single?
Yep.
Define single.
Greg, is Eve single?
I'm not married, if that's what you
No,
define single.
is Eve single?
Oh, is Eve
She
single?
said depends on who I ask. So I'm going to take
I
a
would
vote.
say yes, she's single.
She says so. 2 out of 3 people say you're single,
Oh,
so they're
wow.
actually single.
That's
Who else could I?
Congratulations.
Who else could I ask?
Anyone you like.
Your partner? that might be a first person to start with.
Partner in crime, partner in
So you don't
business.
Are you single or not single, or
Partner
you'll
in-
refuse to answer the question?
I'm not refusing to answer the question.
But if you're married and you give an evasive answer to that question,
I am
that's going
not
to be
married.
insulting to whoever the
She's not
person
married. You're
I'm
not
not
married.
You
married.
can't be married.
No.
Okay.
I can't be.
So nobody's married. Okay.
It's impossible.
You can't. What is it really? Why is that?
Because she gave an evasive answer to, are you single? And if she were
Right.
married, that would insult her husband.
Yep.
So she can't be married.
Maybe I'm really
Okay.
mad at him. No, I don't.
That'd be rough.
No, that's not true.
Okay, so you're not married. So that means you're single, I suppose. Is that the opposite? Not necessarily. Graham's shaking his head like, what an idiotic question. Okay, so I don't even know why did I ask that even.
That's just what you do.
What was I getting
is
at?
apparently
Did I
part
have
of the show.
Did I
I
have
had
something
no
to get to?
idea.
Did I have something to get to?
That's
In
great.
that?
Did you?
I
I
can't
don't
remember.
know. Only I can know the nature of your question.
Okay, so,
and
well-
my answer.
Yes, I was going to say that if you weren't single, if you had no one to go with, you could take Greg with you next time you drive
To Missouri.
back
Home
to
to
Missouri
Missouri?
and show him how to do it in 7 hours.
Well, I think going home to Missouri is interesting because I'm from a small town and I have a very large family on my mother's side. And so these family gatherings do become like sort of a pressure cooker situation for anybody who
I
comes
don't do
home.
That's
family
perfect.
gatherings.
Take Greg and say,
That's awesome.
"This is my husband, and we just got married on the way
Right.
here, and I only picked
It's
him up
like,
at a truck stop."
Are you ready to answer to my 9 uncles and 6 aunts? You want to talk to, and my dozens of
Can you
cousins
give me an
about...
idea of an accent to kind of
I did a little sampling of it. There's a lot of people have noted over the years. I would call kind of a neutral way of speaking.
Right.
Maybe I've been
A broadcasting accent.
exactly. I have the generic broadcasting accent, but water is something that I get called on when I say water. Can you give me a glass of water? And fur. What'd you do that for?
That's
Sounded
cool.
weird. The water I didn't get. That sounded perfectly normal to me.
Well, I don't know.
it had a nuance. It had a middle of the
This
country
is what other
nuance.
people say. I mean, I think accents are funny because I met someone the other day. Gosh, I can't remember where it was. She had a very thick accent. Oh, it was at a seafood place on the West Bank. And I sat down next to this woman, and who I assumed was her son or son-in-law. No, is her partner. They're 23 years
Aha, there you
of
go.
age
See?
difference.
Yep.
And she was talking about her accent, and then she asked me where my accent was from.
Wow.
She had that I can't even do it. Can you guys do like a West Bank kind of
Greg can.
Yad-ish? I
He's a
hate to use that
Ganeshan.
term, but accent.
What time is it?
Nice.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, yeah, darling.
Something, yeah. So
Oh
she,
yeah, y'all going down to Sean Point's? Yeah, bring me something, maybe some ham, some cold cutlets, y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Very
that's how
good.
she talks, and
Yeah.
I'm talking like this, and she asked me where my accent's
Oh,
from.
darling, where are you from, darling?
And who is the 23-year difference in age partner?
Former shrimper, who's
Younger.
younger.
23 years
He's
younger.
23 years younger than her.
Former
And,
shrimper.
Yeah.
Why'd he give it up?
You know,
found her.
I happen to know a lot about the shrimping industry because of some reporting I've done recently.
Okay.
But I don't know why he specifically gave it up. But a lot of people, the boats are really expensive to buy and maintain. The catch isn't.
I bet he just lost the dream,
He
just
lost
one
the
day he woke
dream.
up and he said,
He
"I think I gotta
found her.
retire."
He found her, and
Could've
he
been
just
one.
wanted to
Found a
spend
sugar
all his
mama.
time
That
with
was
her.
his kid. He'll never make a better catch than that.
Right.
What-
Yeah, there you go.
Very nice.
On it.
What
on
does
it.
she do with the shrimping partners per person?
She doesn't. She doesn't shrimp. I don't know what she
So
does.
this is just some random place you went to get a pole boy or something.
Yeah, to get some crawfish. And
Just by yourself.
No, with somebody who's from out of town who'd never had crawfish
Oh,
before.
that's great.
So it was like, oh, let's drive over. There's a thing to do. Drive over to the West Bank and go out to John Lafitte, walk around, look for some gators. Had a gator sighting. Had some giant dragonfly and giant spider sightings. See all the palmettos and the cypress knees and all of that kind of stuff, and then go get some seafood,
And sit next to
Typical.
some wacky people from the West Bank.
Yeah.
23 years different in age and one's an ex shrimp. I
Well,
mean, what a great trip that person must have had.
Yeah, definitely. And
Fab.
teaching people how to peel crawfish and crack open a crab and all that kind of stuff. People love it. It's really
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
The West Bank's another world. Have you been to the West Bank?
I've been over to the West Bank. Yes, I have. Andrew went over just a couple of weeks ago.
You know,
actually.
they
He
used to
got
charge
lost.
you to come back, not to go across the bridge. You
Good
know, there's a
point.
reason for that.
Do you
Yeah.
ever get out to the West Bank, Greg?
From my
given
job.
that you don't
Before I started working for Jefferson Parish, I never went to the West Bank.
you
But,
never went anywhere, I suppose.
No. But River Ridge has everything. But when I got my job, I had to go over there sometimes. So now I kind of know the West Bank Expressway.
Right.
I can find my way around Lapalco and that stuff.
Tell you what, that ferry's still running. That's one of my favorite things in town to do. It used to be
The
free.
Gretna
Now
ferry?
it's it's
like
like
$1 or $2 now.
$2 now
Yeah.
to get there and back. I think his round trip is $2 or something. And
Yeah.
you could ride your bike there and take it across and go to Old Point Bar and have a beer and ride back. And you're crossing the biggest river in the country.
Mm-hmm.
You
It is a
know,
nice
for
ride.
free practically.
I only did that when I went to the Gretna Fest because I won
Perfect
tickets.
timing. Yeah.
And
You got won tickets on a radio
I won-
station
yes,
contest?
I
Which
did.
station was it? What did you have to do?
Oldies, of
Call,
course. What
call
else?
number 9? You were TIX.
the Who Done It? Yeah.
What did you have to answer, or you just call number 9?
I win very often. I've sort of been banned. They won't. They hang up on me now because.
Were they caller ID there, or what?
Well, when they know my voice, so I answer and they didn't you just
that's
win?
Say, no, not
sad.
you, not you.
But Gretna Fest tickets I was one of the better prizes I got off of that.
Do you have any friends who could call for you on your behalf?
Did
Did anyone ever come over?
I shouldn't
The
say
house?
this, but we've already done that.
You have? So some friends come over your house and...
No, not over They do it at 7:20 in the morning, so it has to be in my car on my way to work.
What
that's
time
when
do
they,
you-
That's when they do the contest.
Who goes to work with you in the car?
It's not. I wait till I get to the office and somebody does it there. I shouldn't.
Can't
talk
say
about that
who it is.
anymore.
Okay, and so
We're getting
someone...
into the realm
Use
of.
So you
official
give the person the
privileges?
answer to the question,
Yes.
whatever they're asking at WTIX, which is typically what? Who's saying something in
They
1960?
play a record. You guess. You say who recorded it.
And you know the answer
Ah.
because you've got 3,000 records in the
Right.
den.
And this
Yeah.
person doesn't ask to get to go to the event in return for their services?
That's negotiable. Sometimes it's a dinner. Sometimes it's.
Do you wait
tickets,
for prizes
something.
that you're really interested
Yes.
in? Or you, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Jazz Fest tickets.
Cool. That's
right,
great.
right.
That happened one year.
That would be
Who
good.
was headlining Gretna Fest when you went?
Beach Boys
Nice.
Oh, fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
and Clarence Carter,
Nice.
Nice.
and I forget who else, but it was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, that's worth it.
Oh, definitely.
But you're banned from calling WTIX now. That is so great. I wonder how many people listen to WTIX these days.
Quite a few.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
people
It's pretty
in
big.
my age group, because we still want to listen to these. They say you always want to listen to the records you grew up with. So
I don't agree
Not
with
true.
that. But do you think that, Eve? Do you still listen to oldies from?
Well, I grew up listening
Missouri?
to oldies, so I guess
Wow.
because that's
Okay.
what my parents or my mom listened to, or what that was one of the only stations
What is
we
considered
got in
oldies?
that's
Missouri.
I was going to say define
It's a
oldie.
fungible term, I think. Yeah, it's a.
That's a good word, fungible. Yeah.
Sometimes
Wow.
it'll be they'll define it. I mean, there was this station where I grew up that said something like the best of the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today.
Yeah.
That's not old. I mean, then you're
That's
not in
not
the 50s
oldies.
and 60s.
Right.
I don't really know what oldies is.
I don't consider 80s oldies. It's got to be 70s or 60s or 50s.
Right.
Well, that
But-
depends when you were born, I suppose. It's
Right. Younger
Right.
people would consider
Partly.
80s oldies, but I don't.
Well, and then there's the whole thing. If you are into vinyl and you collect vinyl and like vinyl records, then you're mostly listening to older music.
60s, 70s.
You know
and
what's
80s.
When you're
funny?
listening to
when
vinyl.
you when you collect the vinyl and then you go to the dollar section, that kind of puts you in a demographic or in a genre. It's not even genre specific. I don't know what it is, but it's back then you couldn't just record for free. It was expensive to make a record, so the people who made records wanted to make records and they had something to say. And not all of them were good. And now you go to the thrift store and you see exactly what kind of records were made. Millions of copies, but nobody wants anymore, and so you have the Streisands and the et cetera in every thrift store, and that's a really interesting. I like to ask people now, what record today is selling millions of copies that our kids will find at the quote unquote thrift store? Not that that's
Kind of rediscovered.
yeah, like what's completely dated? What will people find no interest in when we're adults, and there will just be layers of them at the thrift store? What music is that?
But there's
Daft
really no
Punk.
such thing because people aren't
There
they're
won't
not
be such
buying
a thing.
physical objects
But it's just a
that make
hypothetical
that
thing.
music come out of anymore.
Correct.
you
Yeah.
know?
So it won't actually exist, but it's interesting to think about what's selling millions of copies today. That
Because it's leftover, basically.
No, that's
Well,
going to
I
that's
mean-
going to be like people are going to think it's
currently,
crap.
Yeah, currently selling
No
millions
one's
of
going to
copies.
want to
yeah.
hold on to it.
And then
Yeah.
when we have kids, that music won't matter to them.
I
What
think about that
music
with
is
fashion when I think what's going to look ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah,
in
you can
20
look back
to
at
30
those
years.
photos
Yeah, which
and say, I
pictures
can't
on
believe
Facebook
I
Yeah.
really. Yeah.
Wedge platform sneakers. My money's on that for
that's
looking
probably good.
ridiculous.
Do you wear those?
No.
Do you have any?
I guess I'm a bit biased since I don't wear them, but yeah.
That's a good question because we look back at those old photos, like on Facebook, you think, "Oh my God, I can't believe anyone thought that was cool."
Yep.
But everybody thought it was cool.
You
So
don't
what are we
know.
going to? What are we looking like today that we think is going to be beards?
We don't know. Beards, mustaches, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yes, that's
Well,
gonna
it's kind of neat that
goatee.
baldness is in. Who thought in the 70s that, if in the 70s if you lost your hair,
I
you just
didn't
slit your
know.
wrist. But today it's cool.
Is
Yeah.
it?
I'll have a shaved head.
Cooler.
Sure,
It's definitely
'cause you
cooler.
shave
Yeah.
your hair off. If
Yeah.
you start to lose it, you shave it off.
Oh, I see. Like
Right.
you don't try to pretend.
You
You
don't
don't
have a comb
try
over
to.
or
Yeah,
buy
right,
a
right,
wig or
right,
anything.
Right. You just
What was that movie that just came
go
out?
with it.
I just Netflixed it, where the guy had the horrible comb over. Oh, it was a very recent movie. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't think of the name of it, but it was from the 70s. Naturally, that it took place in.
Right.
I forget the name of it though.
We'll look it up. Look it up while Andrew's playing a song for us.
Okay.
Oh.
What are you thinking of playing, Andrew?
Oh, how about I play you something new, Grant?
Yes.
That's not the plan.
That was the plan from the beginning when we started this.
I should mention I'm playing tonight with a full band at DBA, so if you're listening to this podcast, come to the show yesterday. Right? That'll be fun. Goes like this, y'all. Oh, before we get too high above the ground, suddenly I knew the best that I could do was let you down. Oh, the longer that we hung around would only serve to dig us deeper down, babe. Oh, and I knew the best that I could do for you was leave town. Oh, and I know I had to set you free. Anything else would be selfish of me. Yeah, the easy way out would have been to stick around. Oh, before we get too high above the ground, suddenly I knew the best that I could do was let you down. Oh, before we get too high above the ground, suddenly I knew the best that I could do was let you down, baby. Yeah, these are good hearts, yours and mine, proving yourself so many times. Oh, and the thought of leaving you is leaving me so broken down. Oh, and so bad I want to stand right by you, but I never would learn to do right by you. Yeah, the easy way out would have been to stick around. Oh, before we get too high above the ground, suddenly I knew the best that I could do was let you down. And I believe there just might be another time around it. But suddenly I knew the best that I could do was let you down. And it's alright now, babe, no need to cry. Just 'cause the love don't stay strong, it don't make the whole thing wrong, no. 'Cause all my life I knew there might come a time it took more love to let go than to keep holding on, yeah, yeah. Oh, before we get too high above the ground, suddenly I knew the best that I could do was let you down. I believe in another time around, yeah. But suddenly I knew the best that I could do was let you down. Oh, suddenly I knew the best that I could do was let you down.
Very nice.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Yes, very nice.
Yeah, well done.
Beautiful.
It is.
You wrote it?
I did, yeah.
Awesome. Did you record?
Yeah. Yeah.
Andrew's
Yeah, I got
last
a-
record was nominated for a Grammy.
It lost to that record you're talking about, Daft Punk, actually.
Oh. Oh.
And Andrew is also the 2014 Big Easy Award winner for Best Country and Folk Artist in
Awesome.
New Orleans, by the
Yeah.
way, in case you didn't know that.
Yeah,
So
it's a little
that's-
glass trophy. It's monogrammed with my name on it, or it's like laser. Yeah, my name's on it and
Laser
everything.
cut.
It's really great.
Awesome.
Do you have a case for it with lighting?
Yeah, I
How-
do actually. Yes,
Nice.
He brings it everywhere he goes.
Yeah, it's,
That's
Do you
voice
have
of
it with
Chris
you?
I've got it. I'll be right back. I'll
Yeah,
show you.
go to the
trunk
car.
of
Oh
my
my
car.
God.
Yeah. So that song is justification for breaking up with somebody for their benefit.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yes. That sounds
Nobody
like...
got to see the motion that your mouth
yeah.
made right there,
Well,
but it was
that's the
pretty
great
good.
Right,
part
yeah.
about radio. The easy way out
once-
would have been to stick around.
Uh huh.
Is that a true story?
Yeah.
So you
Inspired.
think-
Well, it's probably inspired by more than one true story, but you know,
So it would have been easier to stay together than to split up. It is always.
sometimes.
It pretty much always is easy to
Well, I
stay
think sometimes
even in a bad
some people
relationship.
see the end before others do, or recognize that it's just not, the compatibility's not there or something, and so it's important for the person who sees it to kind of like cut the losses or something, you might say, and I think that's noble and involves more love than to stick around.
You think you love somebody more by leaving them,
Sometimes.
Eve?
I think if you see that what you have is not what you want, you have an obligation to try to find what you want. Yeah. And that doesn't mean the other person has any faults or
Sure.
shortcomings or anything. It's just that if you know what you want in life, you have an obligation to yourself and to the world, to the universe, if I dare say that, to go try to get that. And
Well,
if that
what-
takes you away from someone, it's very sad, but it's not. It's not more noble to try to be something that you can't be or you're not. That will eventually fail as well.
What about the concept of hanging in there and making it work?
That's kind of old-fashioned, you know. I was just thinking the same thing,
No,
though. It's
no,
like
it's
we,
great.
we give up too easily today.
Totally,
In my
yeah.
day, you know, not in my parents' day, you know, divorce was just unheard of.
this is your day,
Stuck
by the
with
way.
it. I met my parents. Yeah, you know.
Well, but
the-
is
they just
is
stuck
that
with
wrong?
it for better
is that
or worse.
wrong to try and to stick it out and try and make it work?
I don't think so. No.
I can't remember the question now. When I said, "Is that wrong?" What does that mean? Does that
Getting-
mean
sticking together, sticking it out? Not
you shouldn't?
Not,
you shouldn't try and make it work. Eve, what are
You
you
should
saying?
try
You
to
think
make it
you
work.
should try and make it work?
No, I just don't think it's necessarily automatically more noble to work things out than it is to
course.
take your leave. It's not automatically more noble.
So
You
how
really
would
only-
you know? Though?
if it's
You
abusive.
have to trust yourself. You have to trust yourself. You
I think
have
you
to know
gotta pray
yourself
about it.
really well.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Pray about it.
Maybe not in a Father, Son, and Holy Spirit way, but yeah, you got to kind of like meditate on it. Let's use
sure.
that maybe.
Yeah, I think there eventually you get to a point, I don't want to say of no return, but you get to a point where you say, okay, I'm going to stick this out. But if you're not there, if it's still this casual thing, then sometimes there are those moments when you realize that, okay, anything else that I gain from this is of a selfish nature. I'm not giving what it is I could potentially give to a relationship anymore. So to stick around in this when the other person seems to think that it's going really well is, that's a selfish thing to do, I think.
So one person thinks it's great, and the other person thinks it sucks.
That's some disparity. You
All
could,
right, black and white, Grant. Sure. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what we're saying. Eve, was that been your experience by the sound of it?
No, I just think that, if there's a huge disparity in how two people perceive any kind of relationship, whether it's a job or a romantic relationship or a creative partnership, then that's a problem. If somebody thinks it's going great and the other person's really unhappy, eventually that's got to come out. Like, y'all need to talk about it or try to address the concerns. But if you try to address the concerns and then you decide, I still think this is the right thing for me to not be part of this anymore, then you have an obligation to respectfully step away.
I think people should work on it longer, probably because I'm the one that always gets dumped. I've never dumped anybody.
Oh man.
Like, I've never ended a relationship.
heavy.
I always just get dumped.
You can walk out of this if you'd feel
Have you
better.
ever quit a job? You quit teaching?
Not It's not when I wanted to, though. I could
Well,
never.
you got fired
couldn't
from
quit-
being a teacher?
No,
Oh, we don't need to go there.
But no, I didn't get fired. But I'm saying I wanted to quit before I did. Let's put it that way.
Oh, well, that's normal, though. I mean, you want to get out and then
I'm
you...
the kind of person who would never quit a job till you have another one. You know.
Okay.
So I
Really?
So
Right.
what's the reason that you've been dumped by these various people? It's always been the same reason?
I think they just find somebody else or get
But
tired of it or something.
So it's the same reason. They've always just got bored with you and they want to move on to someone
I
else.
think so.
And how long has it lasted typically?
Oh, the longest one was probably 2 weeks. No, 5 years.
5 years. Okay, well that's pretty reasonable.
Sometimes I meet somebody else. You know, you have to get over it.
Did you ever try DJing an entire vinyl set dedicated to them and sending them the recording
Mixtape.
of that? Because
Try to
Never
get them
tried
back.
that.
that would be,
Never tried that.
That is a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Never did that.
So when was the last one? How long ago did it end?
2 years.
That's good, because last time I asked that question, the person sitting there almost started crying and said Sunday.
No.
Well,
Were you here that day?
What is it?
Were you here that day when that poor girl almost started crying when I asked her when her relationship ended?
No,
You were gone that
I
day.
wasn't here. No.
Sunday.
Oh my God, I don't even want to think about poor thing. Sunday, yes, and it's only Thursday. So 2 years ago.
2 years was when it ended. Yeah.
Okay. So let me go back to this question. Then, did you have any indication that it wasn't going well? Were you fine with it?
I had indications. Yeah.
You did?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Right.
I think a lot of
When
times
people
guys
start
think it's
spending
going
more time
great.
with other people, and you kind of figure it out. You know?
I think a lot of times guys think it's going great until a woman says, we need to talk. You know, like,
Depends
about
on the
what?
guy.
Both
you know?
ways.
Yeah.
Depends on the
Yeah.
guy or the gal. You I think some people, it's in their nature to constantly be checking up on it and wonder, like, is this going okay? And then other people are
Right.
just completely oblivious to that idea.
It would be good to have some sort of balance. I got this thing. I see that you have a lot of time on your hands, apparently.
Who's
Greg.
that? Oh, me.
Yeah, and I went to your website and
Uh-oh.
I looked at this, all the stuff about you on your website about the book.
Okay.
The book is called The Holy Mark, and the Holy Mark is
The holy mark is a birthmark on the guy's head, on the priest, on the man who becomes a priest's head.
right.
like Gorbachev?
It's like that. Yeah. It's a port wine stain. Yeah.
Port wine stain.
And people look at
So-
it like a Rorschach, and everybody thinks it's something different. But his grandmother thinks it's a sign from God that he needs to be a priest. So he becomes a priest for all the wrong reasons and to disastrous results.
And this whole book, apparently, Graham read the book, our producer, and said it's awesome.
Thanks, Graham.
Which she's actually got very high standards,
Glad to meet you.
apart from working on the show. And she says that it's about it's from the priest's perspective.
The interesting thing is, everybody writes about the victim's perspective in abusive, situations, pedophile situations, or child molesting situations, and this one's from the point of view of the molester.
Okay.
So it's
Is it sympathetic? Is it we understand the psychology
Oh,
of?
let's ask. Can we ask Graham? I think it is. What I'm finding is that people say, "I like this guy," and it's kind of strange that you like somebody who does naughty things, But
Well, you can like someone, then find out some terrible thing about them, I suppose, and that would change your opinion of them.
they know
I mean,
what
if I
he's
found
doing.
out that this is based on your true story and you're actually, screwing schoolboys, that might change my
No,
opinion.
it's not. No, it's not.
Unless the boys are enjoying it, of course.
It's not based on that, but there was a situation in New Orleans back in the early '90s where a Catholic priest was busted when somebody found explicit videotapes of him
Wow.
engaging in acts with young men, and I just thought that would be an interesting story. So I wrote a short story about that. Eventually, it got published, and I said, let's do a novel, and so I expanded it. But the interesting thing is people say they like Father Tony, and I think it's because they understand him.
So the idea of the book, I mean, the character is to figure out what's wrong with the guy, so you understand where
I believe that's
where he's
what
coming
I
from.
believe that's the
a
interesting
pretty
thing
good
about it.
job
that-
if you've pulled that off.
Because somebody said, I forget who it was now, that if you understand your enemy, you can come to love him, or not hate him as much, at least.
Sure.
And I think that's what happens in this story. People understand him, therefore they don't hate him as much. Plus, his enemies are even worse than he is. So
Is he
it's like the lesser of two evils.
Is Father Tony attracted to little boys? Is that
No, he's attracted to young men, 16,
that's not-
17. It could be legal in some places. Depends on the state.
What is it? What is the age in Louisiana where you can
17.
be attracted to a boy? 17.
It's legal.
That's
at 17.
consensual sex among anyone, though. At 17. It's not
At
just same sex.
17, an adult can have sex with. At 17, you can consent to sex. Let's put it that way. In the state of Louisiana.
Okay, so what's the big deal about Father Tony? And it's just that he's a Catholic priest. Is the big deal?
That's the thing. That was the
Right.
big deal about that true story. It wouldn't have been a scandal except the guy was a priest.
It wasn't schoolboys. It
If
was.
you're playing Elmo on Sesame
No, it was
Street, it's a big deal.
consent. It was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If you're playing Elmo on Sesame Street, it's a
Yeah,
big
no.
deal. But yeah.
But,
It was consensual sex among adults. Just one of them happened to be a Catholic priest.
right. That's
Okay.
what really happened in New Orleans back in the 90s. This guy, though, I think some of these people might not be 17. It's not quite clear
In
how
the book.
old they are in the book.
So, is this story based on that story specifically? Or is it-
Only I just picked up on the idea of a priest being busted by videotapes.
Gotcha.
Everything else is made up.
Gotcha.
Some of it is my Italian family ancestors, and that
Yeah,
kind
some of
thing.
it's your grandmother. I read
My
this.
great grandmother
Yeah,
couldn't
listen to
speak
this.
English.
Listen to this description of your own grandmother, if I can find it here. Was this Josephine Fazio?
Josephine
Mama?
Fazio Quaglino was
Yeah,
my
Josephine
great grandmother.
Fazio Mama Quaglino. She'd gotten immense in her last years. You should read this. You'll have
You
the
want me to
author
read
read this. Yeah, read that paragraph. This is awesome.
This is the character describing his grandmother, who was based on my great grandmother. She had gotten immense in her last years. Her breasts were huge, like her nose and ears. They seemed to have never stopped growing. Bags collected in layers under her eyes, which drooped so that you could see the bloody softness under her eyeballs. I thought it was the weight of her ears and nose pulling down the flaccid skin of her face. My mother was certainly right about Mama Migliori's looks. In the most flattering photographs I've seen, the best you could say is she appears handsome, like a younger Gertrude Stein before she turned into a man.
Wow, I feel like I'm on a real show now. That was beautifully read.
You have to know who Gertrude Stein is for that to have you seen pictures of Gertrude Stein, anybody?
I have
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
she was an attractive younger woman, not beautiful, not really feminine beauty, but a handsome type of beauty. But as older, as you see pictures of her when she got to be in her 60s and 70s, you'd swear you were looking at a man.
So you did a good job for us here because you've written a whole section on your website called Frequently Asked Questions.
Right.
So you sit in your room and when you're not playing records, you come up with frequently
Yeah, I
asked
make
questions
up-
that people might want to ask
That's
you.
exactly
Or
what I did.
They're not frequently asked questions at all, are they?
No, they're
They're
questions
just
I'd
what
like,
you thought they
they're
might be.
questions I'd like to be frequently asked.
Okay, that's better. Well put.
But
They're
it's been a
questions-
self-fulfilling prophecy because I wrote the so-called frequently asked questions before the book even came out. but since it came out, those questions have been asked, so it's not totally phony.
Were you in your living room when you wrote them?
That's
In
not
the
on
den.
here.
No, I was in my bedroom,
The
probably.
den. That's what I meant. Yeah.
No, not the den. The den's
Ah.
just for music and pool and drinking.
Not writing, right?
Not right. No, you don't write in the den. No,
Where do you write? Do you have an
I-
office special
I
spot?
write in my bedroom. That's where the computer is, so that's where I write.
That's where the magic happens, in the bedroom. Just remember that, okay? If he asks you out afterwards. Eve. So here's a question from the frequently asked questions. How did you come up with the birthmark as a symbol? Andrew, you can read the answer.
Okay. I honestly don't remember how the idea came to me originally, but as the project grew from a short story to a novel, the birthmark took on more and more significance. Ronnie, the narrator's gay cousin, comes closest to nailing down the birthmark as a symbol when he tells Father Tony that it is his passion. Father Tony is somehow developmentally stunted sexually. His holy mark reacts to the stimulation, but stimulation much as a normal man would react sexually. The birthmark is covered up through most of the novel, either by Joe's real hair or Father Tony's toupees, and only when it is exposed does he engage in erotic exploits.
Yeah, the birthmark is kind of an erotic symbol, and it's covered up. When you're a child, it's covered up because you have hair. And
Where is it? On his head?
It's on the back, on the crown of his head.
It's on the crown of his head.
I haven't
see.
read the book, but I kind of like the imagery in a sense that it's something that we're kind of aghast of when we first see it, but in reality was there since birth and isn't really their fault.
True.
You
Yeah.
know?
But I was
How
interested
you
in this
are,
sentence.
symbolism.
I was interested in the sentence where it suggests that, like, the birthmark gets a hard-on or something.
The birthmark gets
Is that what you said?
swollen, gets red. It just does stuff like that,
Okay.
and it becomes a little bit more pronounced, I guess we could say.
It doesn't get erect.
No,
That's what I took that sentence
It's
to
not
mean.
science fiction.
but it's the closest Father Tony comes to that. He has problems.
He can't get it up either.
That's right, he can't.
Okay.
That's alluded to. In earlier drafts, I made it more explicit, but I thought it was kind of cheesy, so I just made it
You've got to
more
give it
discreet.
Yeah, what's the point of having a sexual predator if you can't have sex with anyone?
Exactly. That's why he doesn't. It's not sex to him. It's like.
So Graham thinks this is going to be turned into a movie.
Does she?
Mm-hmm.
Where is she?
She's right over here.
Awesome.
Do you have any interest in making this into a movie?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't know how to make something into a movie. But
No, I
if
mean,
somebody
sell
wanted
the
to
rights to someone to,
Oh, I'll sell it. Oh, yes.
But you haven't done anything about that. You don't have.
I wouldn't know what to do. Somebody actually.
Wait, do you have a publisher? Is this thing published?
Yeah, it's when the thing was.
They might have a clue.
it's
Eve
published.
might be able to tell you something about it.
I'll show you a copy. I brought one.
I see you brought a plastic box with you. Is the book in the box?
Actually, yes, it is.
Show everybody that.
The
like
box
it's
or
like
the
a
book?
tackle
I thought there was fish tackle in here.
Where is the box? They want to see the box.
Darlene's got
Charlene,
the
they
box.
want to see the.
Charlene?
Oh, I have the box.
You have it.
I forgot.
Okay, look
Right
at this.
here.
It's like a
Right.
fish tackle
It's a
box.
tackle
Okay,
Yeah,
box.
exactly.
It's a tackle box.
that I
Okay,
used
so
to- when I taught at Jesuit, this is what I carried around my stuff in.
okay.
And when I went home, I
files
pretended
and
I was
whatnot.
doing work. This is what it was really empty, and I just brought it home so that Father McGinn would think I was doing work.
Perfect.
I really wasn't.
Father McGinn was the boss.
Yeah, he
So
was the
why didn't
president.
you just buy a briefcase? Why do you have a plastic tackle
This
box?
is cheaper.
Okay,
Teachers have license to be eccentric.
So
okay.
anyway,
In Catholic school, I guess. What were you teaching actually?
that's the birthmark. Can you see it on his head?
I can. I didn't realize it was on the back.
Yeah, it's on the crown of his head.
So it didn't appear until his hair fell out as he got male
when he
pattern
was born, you
baldness.
could see it because he was born bald, and when his hair fell out later in life, that's when he started to have erotic exploits. When the holy mark becomes prominent,
good story.
Yeah.
then you.
Good story. So you should. I wonder who wrote the Da Vinci Code. That Dan Brown or something was his
D.
name?
Brown?
That's
Dan
correct.
Brown. You're right, Dan Brown.
You should maybe read that and think. I mean, this could be just as good, if not. I mean, it's got to be better written according to Graham. And
When the Publishers Weekly hit the internet, a review hit the internet, I got an email from some woman who wanted to know who was representing the book for movie and TV rights, and I said,
Yeah.
no, nobody.
Did
that
she
was-
write back after that?
She just said thank you. It's
called follow-through,
I haven't
Greg.
heard from her since.
really,
Yeah.
do you have that person's email address still?
I
Yeah.
think the idea here
I
that,
do.
that you kind of have to Photoshop this birthmark onto the head. Did you have an idea for what shape you wanted it to be? Did you oversee the art direction of this cover so that
I did.
the
It's supposed to
placement
look-
of the
Looks kinda like
birthmark, all that
Kentucky
kind
to
of
me.
thing?
It's supposed to look like some people see a dog biscuit, but the grandmother sees a chalice full of blood. That's why
Chalice
she
full of
thinks.
blood. I can see that.
That's
I can
why
see chalice
she
full
says
of blood.
you have to be the priest that was never in this family because she's an old Italian woman and there was no
Right.
priest in the family.
Every family
so-
had a priest back when.
They had to have
Second
one.
son was usually the
and they
priest.
didn't have one, so
Any
he
in
had
your
to be-
family of 11?
Oh,
No priests.
no, I can't really believe that that's true. My mother's the oldest of 16.
Wow.
No members of the
Wow.
clergy.
She's got 15 brothers and sisters.
She is the first of 16. Yeah,
Oh,
she was
my
the first
God.
of 16. Crazy.
She's not with us anymore.
16.
Yeah.
Is
She what?
She's not with us. Your mother died.
No, my mother's
still alive.
My mother's very much alive.
And
yes.
how many of the other 15 are still here?
Everybody.
Were they
Everybody's
16
I have-
kids
I have
survived.
very good genetic stuff.
No kidding.
16 separate
Yes.
births, or were some twins or
one
triplets
set
or
of
something?
twins, so 15 births.
Thank God.
And yeah, my grandmother was pregnant for about 20 years, basically.
Wow.
And everyone's happy and healthy. Really, everyone's.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
I said this recently at a Christmas party. I said something about my family's so normal. Everyone's so well adjusted. Everyone else is like going forward with their families and work and doing fine. We really don't have a black sheep. And they're like, Eve, you are therefore the black sheep. if that's
Are you really?
If that's the
You
case.
seem like a perfectly well-adjusted normal person.
well,
Other
I think
than being in
black
public
sheep can
radio.
be perfectly well adjusted within a flock of black sheep, which is what New Orleans is mostly made up of. So,
Do you think
perhaps
that's why you
one
moved here?
explanation. Well, I moved here for a boy and a job. It depends on, again, who you ask. But
Well, you still have the job.
I have a job again, yeah. I moved here to work, and I moved here and then started working at American Roots,
Right.
the music show. And, I immediately took to New Orleans, as I think a lot of people do. You take to it immediately, or you sort of say, not so much, not for me. And so, when the relationship ended, I mean, it'd been a long-distance relationship for, I think, a year or so. And then when I showed up and we moved in together, that lasted about 8-9 months. And then there was the decision of, do I stay in this town because I don't have to, It's my first move out of college. Should I stay here? What should I do? And I decided
Before or
to
after
stay.
Katrina?
Oh, well before.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
You stayed. Great.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, not well before, a few years before.
Right. But before, that's all that matters.
Yeah. That's
Is
all
he
that
still
matters.
here?
So true. He is, yeah.
Okay.
I met another one of his exes recently, and we agreed that we're both much better off.
Good.
Oh, that's always horrible.
I have a question because I happen to know that you're involved in the Moth series and/or Moth-related series in town.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the coolest things going on in town. But
That's great.
I
Have
like
you been?
storytelling.
Have you
I
been to see it?
I
Oh,
was
good.
at the one in the backyard, Bayou St. John.
Oh, so that's Bring Your Own. So
Bring
we have
Your
a
Own,
couple
yeah.
of storytelling things in New Orleans right now.
Yeah.
Bring Your Own is the locally produced one. Lane and Nina, Lane
Right.
Levinson and Nina Feldman produced that.
Yeah.
And it's at various sites around town. People get up and tell stories from their lives on a theme. And then The Moth is a monthly series at Cafe Istanbul, the a Tuesday.
When's the next one,
every
do you know?
month. The next one is August 12th at Cafe Istanbul, 7:30 p.m. 10 people get up and tell a story. The next theme is going to be Altered, and I'm the MC of the event.
Do you have
So,
to do
yeah.
any preparation for that, or can you just get up there and... Wing
Not
it.
really at this point. The rules are the rules, and the rules are 5 minutes, true story, beginning, middle, and end, preferably on theme. We've had packed houses for it. The stories are surprisingly diverse. The storytellers are surprisingly diverse in terms of whether they've been in New Orleans before or after Katrina.
You don't know who they're going to be?
No, you don't know who they're going to be.
But it's 10, you said.
10 people.
Okay.
Volunteers, so people put their name in the hat. The Bring Your Own series, I think, is a pre-sign-up thing.
Right, yeah,
To
yeah.
say ahead of time you want to
Eve
do
How many
could-
duds
Eve
do you
could-
find?
duds. Usually there's one per show that just kind of doesn't work.
Did they get hooted off the stage?
No, but it's such a generous crowd. It's such a generous crowd, and it's also kind of fun to have the dud. I mean, no one ever so far has just completely frozen and been unable to continue. Everyone sort of brings it together and finds some way to move forward in the story, even if they get completely stuck.
No, they're drinking?
Some
That would
are,
explain
yes.
that.
Yeah, maybe so.
You gotta,
It's great.
You got to go. You could tell the story.
I could.
It's
Yep.
really fun to host it. It's
Eve
really
could
fun
pick
to
you
host.
up on the way. if
I'd
you
have to
want.
drink first, though.
Same.
You're allowed to have a few drinks, though.
Got it.
It's at a bar.
Oh,
I
that's
can't talk
interesting.
without
Okay.
I don't
drinking.
like to drink before I MC it, or I'll have a drink at intermission, one, and then that's pretty much it. 'Cause I have to sort of
You
run
gotta
the
keep
whole
your
thing.
wits about you.
Yeah, I
You
have
can't
to
be
transition
rambling
to
on.
the next
I only
one.
get my
Can't
wits
burst into
after a
tears.
couple of whiskeys, actually. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm going to have to make you play another
Although
song.
whiskey is
I
my
get
drink
so-
of choice at the Moth. So.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is that at the Moth?
Yes.
Not just every day, just when you're there?
Well,
It's like
I
a
mean,
storytelling, like Hemingway or something.
particularly for that, yes. Yeah, I don't know why.
I wonder what that is.
Altered. That's the
The next theme is Altered. The one this past week was Pride.
pride.
See, I can see where your gears might be turning here because you're going
yes.
to use the word as a like a perhaps
Altar
an
boy.
course.
ALTAR, not
I wanted to
ER.
spell it. Yeah, I get it. Right.
But couldn't you play that word and be that
Sure.
person at the
Spell it,
story?
so
Yeah.
they
Sure.
could do that.
Are they supposed to be funny?
Well, they're not supposed to be anything. Some are very touching. Some
Right.
are inadvertently funny. There's a funny thing with crowds. People tend to laugh nervously when they're uncomfortable anyway. So you'll get a very serious story, and people will sort of laugh as a reflex. Or I was in a relationship for a long time with a very successful improv artist, and I noted that the fact that it's improv comedy made people feel like they're sort of watching a high wire act, and so they're much more generous than with, say, stand-up, because they're amazed at what's going on. They're amazed that the players are making all this stuff up, and they would laugh so hard at stuff that the funniest stuff, the biggest laughs were always things that were just so true. It's a cheesy phrase.
That's
it's funny
it.
because it's true.
That's it.
There would just be the reality of there was one time they were a trio of guys, and the scene that developed was of a teacher, actually a school teacher, who was teaching Moby Dick, and who had then, it became very clear, never read Moby Dick. And the crowd was just so loving it. And it was just, everything down to like the pencils, anything that triggers memory and identification. People are like, oh yeah, that was so funny, the way, that we use these pencils for the tests or whatever,
Do people
cheating
read
off
this? So
things.
they have to.
Oh, for the Moth? No, the Moth is
You can't-
no notes.
you
Some
can't
people
read
have
it. Oh.
scripted it. Some people have clearly prepared, but other people just get up there and go for it.
Interesting.
5 minutes, you get a little whistle like doo-doo-doo-doo when you're at 5.
And you get 5 minutes no matter how bad you are.
No, no one's pulled off early. No.
You got to do it, Greg. Come on.
Yanked
Yeah.
off the stage with
Yeah,
a
I think
cane.
you
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, but that's been a nice benefit. It's nice to not be the news director in those roles. I actually, so yesterday I was interviewing people about the reaction to the Ray Nagin sentencing. I had my headphones on and my recorder out, and I'm in, reporter mode. And I go out to just get, we called it Vox in radio. Vox Populi is where that comes from. So like just people around. And this woman said, I asked her the question. I said, I kind of do a little spiel when I'm doing this. And all radio people hate getting Vox. It's like the worst thing. 'Cause you have to go up to strangers and they don't know. You don't know if they're going to have anything good to say or not. She's sitting in front of a coffee shop. She's on her phone. I said, excuse me, I'm reporting a story. This was for National Public Radio, not local. Getting reactions to the Nagin sentencing. She said, I really haven't been following it. But are you Eve Troeh from The Moth?
Oh, that's great.
Like that?
Well,
It's
yes, I am, and you
hilarious.
turned it up a little bit.
Right, like I'm trying to be a serious journalist here, and someone's like, "Wait, you were just on stage last night,
Great.
cracking
Hey,
jokes."
talking
and
of
being an
Eve
idiot."
Troeh from The Moth and from Missouri, when your name is spelled Troeh,
It's true.
I know.
I had nothing to do with
What
that.
kind of a name is that? Where does it come from?
I'm told from my father that it's Alsatian, so it's like a French-German thing.
Okay.
Sounds made up.
Alsace-Lorraine.
Does it mean
Clearly
anything?
It means beautiful, charming, talented
Witty.
woman. Yeah, witty.
Okay.
All of those. That's
Are you
what
making
it means.
that part up? That's really what it
Definitely
means?
not. Yeah, it's
That's
totally
improv
what it means.
right there. Thanks. Andrew, can we have one more song
Yeah,
before we have to get out of here? We have to get out of here right now, but what the hell?
For you, Grant, anything.
Thank you. It's been a long time since I've heard that.
So this is the last show I'm going to be around, Grant, for a while.
I know you're going on tour. Where are you off to?
Off to the UK. So I think I'll play you a song that I wrote over there.
Okay.
When it turned out that all the little small towns around London were way cooler than London itself. Well, for certain practices. Because I had planned all this time in London to sightsee and do all the London things, and then I realized that I really liked the little towns where there was just one pub where you could play, and that was about it. And so I wrote a song about it. Well, I'm dodging London puddles, still I'm so to the sides. This bus coming is the one I need, but this ain't where that bus stops. Oh, I'm turned around downtown, drowning on the sidewalk. And if you stand still at the station, you're in someone else's way. Everybody's got a place to go and everybody's late. Oh, the heart of these big cities, oh, they grow a little cold for my taste. But the small towns that surround London, they're just a train ride away. And you can get your bearings there in half a day's time. And all the people will say hi, and where you trying to go today? And did you say you were from New Orleans? Or that's a place I always wanted to see. All the small towns that surround London, that's where I go to get away when I feel the time start to get away from me. Here where that London city center holds the riches of the Queen and 1,000 other priceless things that you ain't never seen. But in the small towns around London, all the riches come for free. You catch a smile from an old man, make a new friend at the newsstand, trade accents with the girls at the cafe. Spend an evening, spend an hour, I bet £1 to your dollar that you'll stay. Oh, the small towns that surround London, they're just a train ride away. And you can get your bearings there in half a day's time. And all the people say hi, and where you trying to go today? And Did you say you were from New Orleans? Or that's a place I always wanted to see. Oh, all the small towns that surround London, that's where I go to get away when I feel the time start to get away from me. Oh, when I feel the time start to get away from me.
Very nice.
Oh, thanks, y'all.
Really nice.
Andrew Duhon's on the road. So if you happen to be listening to this in the United Kingdom,
Yeah.
we could just look at andrewduhon.com
Sure.
and find out where you're going to be for what, August?
Yeah, middle July.
So mid-July.
Through early August, and then I'll be Spain for a couple shows, and then I'll come on back to
Okay.
Boston, actually. So I'm come on.
Okay. And this is 2014, in case you listen to this at some time in the future, which strangely enough
And
people
if,
do.
and if you're out there in the universe, maybe Mars or further, we come in peace.
Right, like the beginning of that movie Contact, when the radio
Yeah.
waves go out, out, out.
Yep.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Who signed the guitar?
Good question. His name is Bob Tobin. He's a old timer from North Carolina who I met at 3 a.m. around a kitchen table at a songwriter festival in Alabama, and I thought to myself, if I see that guy again, I'm going to get him to sign my guitar. And I saw him the next day, and he kind of grabbed me by the shoulder and he said, "Hey, I caught your set today. It was really good. Would you sign my guitar?" And I was like, "No way. I want you to sign my guitar." And we were the first people to sign each other's guitars, so I'm going to get more people to sign it, but for now, he's the only one.
You'll be in Spain, you said?
Yep.
Where?
The Costa Blanca. So it'll be Belladonage and Javia are the two shows. Yeah.
You're not thinking of leaving Harahan, are you?
River Ridge.
Oh, sorry, River
Please.
Ridge.
Harahan's the
Harahan.
How
Madraba.
could I have?
Harahan's
The
the
difference between
Madraba.
Harahan and River Ridge is the 13-year-old boys baseball team in Harahan always beats the shit out of the River Ridge kids. But other than that, they're the same.
No. You still
It's
bitter
a
about that?
worthwhile. It's a worthwhile distinction. You're not going to Spain, Greg, eh?
I actually went to Spain with my friend over here 3 years ago, so
Yeah.
I loved it.
My friend over here is just a friend, though. It's not
She's
a,
just we
not a girlfriend.
we taught at Jesuit together, so
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Okay, so she knows quite a lot about you.
she knows a lot. Yeah, too much.
Should have had her on the show as well.
Next
Just to
time.
check 'em, you know?
Next time. When get her to sell the film rights to the book to you. She might have a few clues.
Say that again. I'm
Get
sorry.
her to sell the film rights to your book for you.
Oh,
She might know what's going on. Graham will do it. Graham will represent you. You have an agent?
I'm for sale.
Do you have an agent, Greg? Before we've got to get out of here, but
I had a useless agent, and
Yeah.
finally we dumped each other. See the dumping theme again. But so no, I don't have an
Okay.
agent.
okay.
I'm
The answer's no.
representing myself.
All right. Well,
No.
I got a list of 10 things here that Eve Tro can't live without,
Oh,
but I
where
didn't
did
get to
you
that.
get that?
I don't know. Somewhere on the
Would you like
internet.
to read them off while I play you an instrumental?
Yeah.
Oh, nice,
Okay.
right.
Here are 10 things I can't do without.
Oh, I'll read them.
You can Eve can read her own.
Well, here are 10 things I'll tell you I cannot do without. Neighborhood breakfast diners, public parks to walk, hike, or run. Blank note cards and pen, avocados, or alligator pears. That's what my grandma called them, but I never did say it myself. Number 5 is cotton sundresses. Number 6, long talks with friends. Number 7 is lasagna. I kind of turn into Garfield. Don't want to step on that. Number 8, a good soundtrack. Well, I got one of those right here. Dancing in the living room's number 9. Number 10, Angelo Bricato's. Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah.
Oh, too nice. Too nice. That was good.
Well, you've got a great voice. You can. What do
She
you
learned it
think?
from Kai Rizdal, I think. I saw her interview Kai, and now it's just like,
Just rolls off the
we
tongue.
know where she gets it from.
Oh, there
What
you
a
go.
great way to end today's show. Thank you so much for
You're
joining us,
welcome.
everybody. Our guests on Happy Hour today have been Eve Tro and Gregory Alexander. You can find out more about both of them by following the links on our website. It's neworleans.com. Our show is produced today by Graham DePonte. Our associate producer and technical director is Chris Kehoe. Christian Unruh is our music director, and Joshua Brown is our music coordinator. The theme song that you're currently listening to is being played by Mitch Foreman, who also wrote it. The fabulous audio quality of the show is brought to you in part by PreSonus Audio Electronics. For more information about their wide range of sound recording equipment and software, check them out at presonus.com. If you'd like to be on our show and you can sit upright around the table for about an hour, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, where you can also listen to many other happy hours and our other shows as well. Out to lunch with Peter Raschuti, live from Commander's Palace. Mindset with psychiatrist Dr. Nick Pajic. True to the Game with the fabulous Chris True and Tammy Nelson. Vietnam, our show about the New Orleans Vietnamese community. and Midnight Menu Plus One with Margot Moss and the man who ate New Orleans, Ray Canada. You can keep up with us on Facebook, on Twitter, and a bunch of other time-sucking social media as well. And all of it, where It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com, and on Facebook you can find out what we all look like. I know, shocking. Sorry, Greg. Those photos were taken by the fabulous Douglas Engel, the man in the blue T-shirt. If you're listening to this show on iTunes, on Stitcher, or Swell, or some other podcast app that you like better, thank you for subscribing to us. Take a moment to rate and review us. That really does help other people find us. Our show is recorded live today at Wayfair on Ferret Street, home of the handcrafted food and spirits, where they put fine dining into a sandwich and into a hot dog as well. Come and check out these hot dogs.
Play ball.
Come on. Happy Hour is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For Andrew Duhon, who is on the road and back in a few weeks. In the meantime,
Sayonara,
check him out.
suckers.
And everyone else sitting here around the table here at Wayfair, and those
Thanks,
people
Grant.
back at our office at INO Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Grant Morris. We'll see you back here next time on Happy Hour.
Hour.